I'ma fly just like an elephant.
Dumbo was a pretty good old Disney movie. But I won't say this movie is an old classic to me. I'll just find this as a pretty good and harmless movie. I mean, it's the whole story plot is not really convincing though. It's just basically Dumbo trying to be just like some of the other elephants, but he's treated in a way because of his big ears. I mean, basically, just part of the circus things about him being a Columbo because of his ears, and then all of a sudden, Dumbo and the mouse Timothy get drunk again, and then all of a sudden, there's pink elephants. So yeah, the running time is basically a little bit short, but hey, I won't say that this movie's bad. Yeah, this movie could be a little bit mean-spirited though, with those female elephants being so rude to Dumbo because of his big ears. Yeah, I found that a bit harsh. But this movie is just pretty good. Timothy the Mouse, yeah, he's just basically a copy off of Jimmy the Cricket from Pinocchio, but only a mouse. And I'll say the crows are kind of, well, they can excuse racism for some other weird reasons, because they think an elephant can fly, and that's ridiculous. So yeah, Dumbo, even though this movie could be a little bit mean-spirited though, but hey, this movie is very good though. It's very harmless, and I have to be honest, that song "Baby Boy" is very tear-jerking. I sort of cried. But hey, Dumbo, yeah, this movie could be very good when everybody can see an elephant fly. So yeah, at least it's better than the boring remake. I know it's not saying much, but it is. I have mixed opinions with Cinderella. I mean, at first I used to call this movie as one of my favorite Silver Age Disney movies, but now my opinion went a little bit way low. But it's not really the overrated Disney movie unlike Sleeping Beauty. It's just good, but not technically my favorite Silver Age Disney movie. My main problem about this movie is that we have less focus on Cinderella. I mean, few parts about her is a little bit very good, but the other parts, they're just literally just focusing on the mices. But to be honest, the mices part with Lucifer is very funny. It's just basically like Tom and Jerry. Funny and good old times. As for Cinderella herself, yeah, she's a fine princess character. But unlike Aurora for Sleeping Beauty, at least she has a little bit screen time and a ballroom scene. And so yeah, that probably makes sense. But the reason why this movie wasn't a bit my favorite and why this movie was at least less lower than I thought it was is because the stepmothers and stepsisters are being way too harsh on Cinderella. I mean, I can see it's their characters, but seriously, they're being way too harsh on this character. There was a scene where the stepsisters just basically ripped off Cinderella's dream dress, and that scene just really pissed me off big time.
Oh, no. Oh, and look, that's my sash wearing my sash. You wouldn't oh, stop, please, stop. And now you
What the fuck?
As for the prince himself, yeah, he's honestly pretty boring with no personality and just only here for Cinderella's love interest, so that's probably why. So yeah, this movie has a lot of flaws, but there's no stopping on me calling it a great movie. Not the greatest classic, but just a good movie. And what coincidence, by my opinion, it's kind of the middle of all the Cinderella movies. Surprisingly, it's not better than The Twisted Time, but I gotta admit, I take that movie over Dreams Come True, the second sequel. Ugh. I mean, can you believe that? Cruella de Vil, Cruella de Vil. 101 Dalmatians is surprisingly a very fun movie. I have to say, the story does hit well when the dogs try and make the human characters fall in love, so that way the man dog will fall in love with the woman dog. So yeah, it works pretty well, but how is it 101 Dalmatians? I have to say that they have a lot of puppies, so that's probably why. But the illustration as well is about their weird message. And then suddenly the puppies get kidnapped, and then the husband dog and the wife dog will try to find their children, and it works out to a very well adventuring. I have to say, it works well for the dogs, not so well on the human characters. I'll say they barely even done that much, and I have to tell you, they do have some simple things ever since when they got married. I just like the fact when the husband was singing a very funny song about how devious Cruella de Vil is. That was pretty hilarious. Oh, and by the way, speaking of Cruella. Sorry guys, I am not the biggest fan of Cruella de Vil. I mean, I get her own villain plot, try to kidnap the puppies, but using them as her own clothing so that way she could use their own skins for her own clothing, that's very devious and pretty stupid. Sorry guys, I honestly found Cruella de Vil an overrated Disney villain, and it's probably why I prefer Jasper Horace over her. Also, I don't feel like watching her own movie in Disney Plus, so yeah, this is probably the reason why I'm not a big fan of her. But despite Cruella de Vil, this movie was just 101 Dalmatianly fun, with some very shocking story and some well-known characters. And I would say it was a pretty good dog movie, but there was another dog movie that was way better than this one.
He's a tramp, but they love him.
Something I must be the only one who before laying the Tramp Over 101 Dalmatians. I won't say it has a very good story plot, but hey, with the love angle between Lady and the Tramp looks very nice and astonishing. I once remember having a DVD of this movie in a library, with DVDs of course. I once bought the Lady and the Tramp movie and watching it, it was pretty good. I really enjoyed that movie. Until sadly I had to bring the DVD back in the library movie room, wherever it is, because basically the rules here. So yeah, this movie was pretty good with the great love angle and some, I guess, fine-ish characters. I mean, some of them were quite good, but others were kind of forgettable. And some of the songs were also kind of forgettable, but there are some other songs that I find as at least a great classic. Like, for example, the Italian love song when Lady and the Tramp were eating spaghetti. And He's a Tramp when Lady went to the pound and meets a lot of pound dogs, especially the lady loving sexy dog who was singing He's a Tramp. So yeah, that was probably good. This movie sadly has negatives, like it's very hard for the black dog and the brown dog to have trusted with the Tramp. But it was kind of Tramp's fault for abandoning Lady, so yeah, that's kind of his problem for leaving her like that. But despite those flaws, this movie is still a perfectly good movie, where a lady fall in love with a Tramp. That's well recognized of a message.
I've been marooned for so long. I mean, solitude's fun. Don't get me wrong. For heaven's sakes, after 100 years, you got a little nuts.
Treasure Planet was a very good, underrated Disney movie. Unfortunately, it disastrously bombed in the box office. But do people hate this movie because it bombed in the box office? No. Well, it's pretty forgettable, and somehow it has mixed bag in the reviews. But to my opinion, it was a pretty great and entertaining movie. With the sci-fi version and the old sci-fi veteran, kind of like the original Treasure Planet. No, wait, the original Treasure Island. Only this time with some weird alien people and annoying robots, but still. The sci-fi adventure is very good, and the mixed match between 2D and 3D animation kind of looks like a little bit distraction, but it hits well and is a better version than Titan AE. This movie still having a little bit of negatives, like the story plot makes no sense at all, and I find one character pretty annoying, and that's Ben. Yeah, honestly, I found Ben kind of egotistical. But I give one credit to this robot, at least he did something helpful in this movie, like the part when he was once a navigator for Captain Flint, and his voice actor Martin Short hits well for a robot who was a little bit annoying. But the rest of this movie is quietly a fun and a great of a hidden gem of a Disney movie. The relationship between Jim and Silver is very, very good. And it has a little hard time for Silver to make him a changed character. Rather making him as the villain of taking the treasure, or start to grow well ever since Jim appears to his life. So yeah, this movie might be a box office disaster, but hey, everybody still kind of find this movie as a hidden gem of all the Disney movies. So hey, it's a sci-fi fun. What do you expect?
These are not Joanna eggs.
You know, everybody, I honestly didn't notice about the Rescuers having a sequel called The Rescuers Down Under. I mean, it was a very surprising sequel that came out of nowhere despite the first one being forgettable, but managed to have a sequel. I mean, at first I never really remember about it that much. Well, ever since I heard that The Rescuers have a sequel, I was like, very surprised. But hey, it honestly supposedly managed to be better than the first one. Sure, the runtime was pretty short, and I wish it has a better ending, like the eggs hatching stuff and the mama bird returning to her eggs. But hey, this movie is still pretty good with some very good animation, and the two mice in the first movie get to do something the whole time movie. There was a scene where Bernard tried his very hardest to propose to Bianca and tried to ask her to marry him. That was pretty nice. Also, I forgot to mention about Wilbur. Well, in the first movie, I found Oliver, or whatever you want to call that bird. He was kind of forgettable. But as for Wilbur, he was surprisingly a fun character. I really enjoy him more than Oliver. I don't know what his name is. So this movie is not really the most memorable Disney sequel, but hey, I have a ton of fun with it, mate. And it was a veteran movie that could go down under to the half-line. Yeah, man, you don't know how much I enjoy the Jungle Book. I have a lot of fun time with this movie. It's just basically like my DreamWorks childhood movie Madagascar, but only with a fun time at the story. But it doesn't have the same story as Madagascar. But it's still a fun classic movie, but I wouldn't call it a masterpiece though. It's a fun time of a movie. I have to say, it has some great story plot and charming characters, and let me just say the animation was nice though, I have to say. But some of the songs, I really enjoyed some of the songs. To Baloo's Bare Necessities, to King Louie's I Want to Be Like You, to Kai's Trust in Me, and to the Vultures, That's What Friends Are For. But yeah, this movie's pretty fun. If it has to suffer one negative and keeps this movie nigh in the top 30, and that's Shere Khan. I have to say, he's a very threatening villain, but I have to say, what weakens him in the movie is the climax and how he gets defeated way too easily. Like, for example, the climax was pretty trash, and how they defeated Shere Khan is with fire, and he runs like a little kitty cat because of fire. The remake, on the other hand, actually made the climax done right. And I'd say it was pretty dark though. So yeah, while The Jungle Book is a pretty fun movie, it just didn't make it to my top 30 material, sorry.
The lost city of Atlantis!
I guess I was being a little too harsh to Atlantis, the Lost Empire. Like at first, I used to call this movie overrated for no reason. Until when I rewatched this movie, I was kind of wrong about this movie. It was surprisingly ended up as a great and intellectual and awesome sci-fi adventure. Like, how this movie worked out for me, it's pretty underrated and the hidden gem of the Disney movies alongside Treasure Planet. Let's just say the great animation, the mix between 2D and 3D is pretty great, and the art style, it looks great as well. So why did I end up calling this movie overrated? Let's just say it's dreaded sequel. But when we watch it, it turns out pretty good. I had to admit, the sci-fi adventure at the Atlantis was pretty incredible, and I really enjoyed it. The soundtrack, the score, it looks pretty good. And the characters, well, sometimes some of the side characters could be very rude to Milo, but now when the movie keeps starting the journey of the Atlantis, they're starting to warm up on this guy. And not to mention...
What are you doing? You do swim, do you not?
Wow. How amazing what that is. The only nitpick about this movie is the twist villain. I mean, it's just a villain that I didn't see coming. He's kind of boring, and the climax was a bit clunky. But this movie is still a compelling, entertaining movie with an unknown Atlantis theme and a great visual of an anti-great and a visual Atlantis. Or as I have to say, it's a sci-fi fun movie. And I have a lot of fun time watching Hercules. For example, the story works well with this movie. By Hercules becoming an average boy to a godlike hero. That's how it works well. I have to say the animation works pretty good, especially when the 2D to 2D and 3D works well on some of the monsters, especially when it comes to the hyenas. That's what's up really good. And some of the characters were pretty fun. And let's not forget the songs. Wow, they're iconically fun. Like some of the songs that I quite like Zero the Hero, I Could Go the Distance, and especially my favorite song. What a very fun song. Oh yeah, as for Hades, man, he was a very fun villain. The way he gets temporarily angry when things did get in his way to try to defeat Hercules, wow, he was very fun, and especially his henchmen Pain and Panic, they were also fun too. So yeah, this movie is so great, except for...
I'm warning you. You keep that freak away from here.
What is up with mean spirit to our own character? I mean, seriously, that's touche. Oh, well, who cares? This movie is still a great comedy fun movie. Perfectly great movie, but sadly didn't make it to my top 30. Stay tuned for my top 30 for y'all.